Hi there, I'm Cher, and this is Diary of a Pen Nerd. So today is the first day of July, which is the second half of the year. I spent the first half of the year in this bullet journal, which I am fairly certain I set up with you guys at the beginning of the year, but I have since pretty much filled it up. It's full now. And so it is time to move on to the second half of the year. And so I've gotten to like here. There's where we are. And so this notebook served me fairly well. The pen loop did break off a couple times and I had to hot glue it. And then the only other problem I had was that it just got dirty, which wasn't a huge problem. It did bother me a little bit at first, just because also it's a cloth cover as opposed to, I don't know how you would call it, like the faux leather covers on some of the other notebooks that I've had in the past, and then I had a big ink spill. But I actually got the exact same notebook but in pink instead of purple. So that's this one, and I'm so excited to get to show you. I've already set up everything for the beginning of the 6 months and also the beginning of July. And to just kind of like walk through and tell you about my mid-year bullet journal setup. So a couple of things that I really like about this notebook is the elastic strap, the pen loop, and the ribbon. I also do like that it's hardcover, even though it's cloth, and so will get dirty. I'm actually thinking about making like a fabric sleeve to put it in that I could like have tied with a bow at the side, which would be super cute, and maybe some pen slots on the front so that when I'm carrying it around, maybe if I have it in that it won't get quite so dirty. I don't know. But just something to try out. And if I do get around to that, and then there's also a couple of pen cases that I was thinking about making, I'll definitely share those on the channel. But I like all of those things. The other things that I like about it is I like the paper. It's fairly thick. It handles fountain pen ink fairly well. It's dot grid and the pages are numbered, which is always a plus. So without further ado, I guess we can just go through the flip through of the bullet journal. I'll probably write my name and my phone number here so that just in case I lost it, someone could find me. Hopefully they would go through that trouble. And the first page is always fake. Look at that! So I went with a bright colors, 90s technology kind of theme, which is a little bit different than some of the themes I do most regularly, which are usually florals. So I'm excited, I'm enjoying it, and been playing out with different styles and things. And I did this with mostly my Crayola Super Tips that I have picked out. But yeah, I think this is super cute. And then I have my future log, which has all 6 months. For right now, it mostly just has birthdays, but when school starts up again and I get my syllabi and I have all my assignments, that's what the majority of this is going to be, is my assignments. And this is just like a lifesaver for me to help me keep track of all of my tests and things. But that's my future log, and I liked doing this little like tab thing because I think that goes with my theme, and I was having a lot of fun setting this up. And then I have a place for goals that I haven't filled out yet, but I will. And then I also did a bingo board because these are things that I don't necessarily have as goals, but just like would be fun to keep in mind or work towards in the last 6 months of the year. To kind of almost like an enrichment board, really. And then I have looking back and looking forward, which I also haven't filled out yet, but I'll get around to it. And these will mostly be probably like paragraphs or bullet lists of the last 6 months of the year and how I feel about them, and then the next 6 months of the year and how I feel about them. Kind of a good place to stop and pause and do a little bit of reflection here. And then I liked these. I thought that was so cute. Did you guys tell I was having a lot of fun setting this up? I was doing more like, I don't even know how to call it, but like technical decorating than I think I've ever done, like making the boxes and the tabs and the things like that. Usually I'll just draw a couple of flowers and call it a day. And then I have my finance tracker. This is really important because I'm making sure that I'm saving enough for tuition. And then even I think I'm going to be doing a second program in the spring for phlebotomy, and so I need to make sure that I save up enough for that. But that's super exciting, you guys. I might be a phlebotomist. Ooh. And then my content planner. And then we get into the month of July. And I really liked drawing this little flip phone. I thought that was so fun. And then for the month of July, I made my monthly layout another file, and I also drew another flip phone. This one is closed, but the time says 2025. So that's fun. And then I'll probably add events and things into this calendar as they come up, and then a little notes page, which I might just put a quote there or something. I have my monthly expenses for July. This is probably going to be a little bit more in detail than my finance tracker, which is for all 6 months. I had another goals page here, but I felt like that might be a little bit redundant with my previous goals page, and so I'm not sure what I'll put here. Maybe it'll be like a playlist, or maybe instead of a goals, like a steps towards work, whatever goals I put down here. But really this is all just fun stuff. And then I did put a currently inked in here just for fun, and I'll show you guys my currently inked pens, even though this isn't a currently inked video, but just because it's fun. I have my Kaweco Hello Kitty Sport with a Kaweco Summer Purple ink cartridge in it, and this is so cute. And then I have my other Hello Kitty All Sport, and this one has a another cartridge in it with Yozakura, but I'm not entirely sure I got the brand right because I wasn't looking at it. But I was so excited to have these inked up again. I realized that I hadn't inked them up for a while, and so I wanted to play around with those. And then I have another little pocket pen, pen BBS 471 with Van Diemen's Snowy Mountain Sunset, which is a sample that I am trying out and really loving. And then originally these were all I had inked up, but then because I have no self-control, I also inked up my Ferris Wheel brush fountain pen with Diamine Cozy Up, and I also inked up my Fude, my Wing Sung with a Fude nib with Monteverde Malibu Blue. And thus far I feel like all of these pens complement each other really well and complement the theme really well, and I might add a couple of more. So stay tuned for that. And then I have a habit tracker. I have been doing a bullet journal for since I was in like 7th grade, and I'm now about to be a sophomore at university, and in all of that time I've never really done a habit tracker, but this month there were a couple of things that I wanted to keep track of, and so I thought it'd be the perfect time to pull it out, and I actually think that it turned out so cute. And I'm excited to see how I do filling this out, if I keep up with it or if it's something that I just forget about, because that will inform how I keep track of things in the future. We're just testing this out, really. And then we get into my weekly plan, which I did the tab thing again, which was super fun. And then I did the .x just because I thought that made it look a little bit more like a file name, and I was having too much fun. But yeah, and then on this side, I usually will have like this week's goals, and then I'll write in to-do lists or any other kind of list that I need here, and fill out the rest of the pages as different things arise. But that is my bullet journal for the mid-year. Oh, don't fall. Mid-year setup. And I'm so happy and excited with how this spread came out, and I'm using all my favorite colors but with a new theme. And yeah, and then pretty much everything stays the same. Once school starts up for me, you will usually dedicate a lot more space to keeping track of assignments and due dates. But that's my bullet journal, and thank you guys so much for watching and tuning in. I hope you enjoyed. If you liked it and you want to stick around, you can hit that subscribe button, and I hope you'll let me know down in the comments, what your bullet journal or planner setup looks like, and I will have the next chapter of my story out soon. Bye for now. Love, share.